Hello there, and welcome to Chronicles of Power, a podcast dedicated to the world of power where I review and break down the latest episode in the Powerverse. My name is Keemie, and today we have a very special guest in the house with us today. Now, you may know him by one name, but I know him by three names, and his name is Lovell Adams-Gray. Woo!
Hey!
You have no idea how proud of myself that I did not mess up his name just now, because every time I have a guest, even though I say their name in my head 55 different times, I end up messing up their names. And I don't mean any disrespect by it. It's just that, talking and getting it on camera.
Absolutely.
And, trying to make sure you feel comfortable, but then I end up looking goofy.
Mm-hmm.
But how are you today,
I'm
sir?
doing very well. I'm very happy you got my name right
Oh.
because it's three names, and there's been variations of my name getting messed up, and you took the time to take it and get it good. So thank you.
You're welcome. So, Lovell Adams-Gray, he does play Dru Tejada on Chronicles of Power. On
Power Book 2 Ghost.
On Power Book 2 Ghost.
It's a lot of power going on.
It's a lot of power going on, and hopefully there will be more after this, considering everything that is happening in the episode. Now, right now, we are on break, right? We are on break. We can definitely say that we are on break after episode 5. Power Book 2 Ghost will not be returning until September 6th. Or is it the 7th?
I think it's the 7th.
Is it the 7th? Yeah. So until September 7th, after summer break. So tell me now, for the people who don't know who Lovell Adams-Gray is, and they only know you as Dru, please tell us how you got your start in acting, and if acting was the first love for you.
I'll answer that second question first. My first love was fighting. I've always wanted to fight.
What?
Yeah, I always wanted to fight. I love.
So you
fighting.
should have been Kane, is what you're
I
saying.
should have been Kane. I've said that before. The only other character I wanted to play was Kane's character because he's so fun to get to be. I felt like I wanted to play Dru more reserved and more introverted and more introspective, and I felt like Kane got to express feelings that I had as Dru. Get to be like, no, we're gonna ride for the family and do all this and be outside and do this stuff.
Nah, but Dru does that too.
Yeah, he got to do that more as more time went on. But in season 1, where he shot Homeboy in the stairs, I was like, that felt so fun to just watch. I could imagine that as Woody to be able to play that was, yeah.
Wait, that was Guap, right?
Yeah. No, not Guap. What was his name? It was Homeboy that was at the party.
Oh, the other guy at the party. Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
I was thinking about a different, the other stair scene when you're with Guap and you shoot and y'all are fighting over the gun.
Yeah,
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah,
My bad. But anyway, so what about getting your start in acting?
So when I was a kid, I did this play. I was gonna do this play. And I was one of those kids that was annoying and troublesome in class.
Oh God.
So I always got kicked out. And my teacher was really mean. And so instead of being, I was very cantankerous, right? So instead of being
not a 5-year-old that's cantankerous.
instead of being oh, she's mean, so I'm gonna be on my best behavior, I would always do some shit.
To antagonize.
Yeah, And so we had an assembly and she was conducting the student choir, I guess. It's second grade. And she was doing all that. And so I was with my friends doing all that too. Someone told on me, okay? And she was also the director of the play, the school play we were doing. And I was going to be the red fire truck. And she kicked me out of that play. Yeah, she's like, you're not doing the play no more.
Wait.
Had nothing to do with the other thing, but she was just that's it. And someone told her that I was doing, I couldn't tell you who did it. And, but ever since then, I really wanted to, I just loved acting and getting on stage and doing what I love. So that energy and that, that hyper way of being, I just kind of channeled into, being an actor or being a fighter. One and two. If I can mix the two worlds, that'd be great.
Okay. What type of fighting? MMA or boxing or?
More so MMA. I take karate now, so I'd want to embody that somehow.
I'm scared. I'm scared.
I think like being Dru and taking karate went hand in hand. So some way, shape, or form, I was able to.
Wait, there's another cast member that likes MMA. Is it Gianni who
Yeah,
likes
Gianni.
MMA?
Yeah, yeah.
Because when I saw the fight cages, I was like, oh, they put this in there because of Gianni, right? I'm like,
They need to put him in a fight scene because I think he would do really well.
really?
Yeah, yeah, for
Can
sure.
you imagine if they put Gianni and Kane in the ring? Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
would be
that.
crazy.
Yeah, I wonder who'd
Well,
win.
Braden, not Gianni.
Yeah,
Gianni as Braden with Kane in the ring, considering that Kane has superpowers and he can beat everybody. He took that brass knuckle shot
like it was nothing.
like it was nothing.
Yeah, don't let him see you sweat.
Listen, that plot armor on Kane is something serious. Wait, the plot armor on the Tejadas in general is crazy because
Yeah.
y'all got shot at least.
Yeah, I like to think it's plot armor, but also I think it's the power of family, right? We gotta live for family. So somehow, some way, we survive these things.
Okay, so before we get into Power Family, talk to me about your actual family, right?
Mm.
So I know that you grew up in Canada
Mhm.
and that you're from Canada, but how did your family first react to you when you told them that either you told them that you wanted to fight or that you wanted to be an actor? So after that second grade play where
Mhm.
you got kicked out and you went home and told your mom what your teacher did to you, I hope she went up to that school. and then you told them, hey, I want to take this seriously. Did they initially support your dreams of being an actor, or was there some pushback?
My family is all West Indian. My dad is Jamaican. My mom is half Guyanese and half Maltese.
Uh-huh.
And so when I told them that I was going to be an actor or get into the arts at all, I expected them to be like, no, like do something else with your life that's like, more respectable, a lawyer, a doctor, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they were all for it.
Really?
Yeah, they were all for it. They were like, yeah, you're a really hyper energetic kid. I had a really deep voice as a kid. So they were like, you should get in the radio or something like that. So they were really supportive of. When I said I wanted to fight, they were like, nah.
They said no?
No.
that was the one that they talked you out of.
Yeah, that was the one. I wanted to be a cop at one point. They said no, because I wanted to be a cop for the wrong reasons. I said I wanted to shoot bad guys, and that was it. I was like 5.
I had to come back just now, and I had to stop myself from saying it. But go ahead.
Yeah,
So, when you were 5, that's
I was like, I was a kid, and now that I didn't have perspective on what it meant to be, a law enforcement officer. So that was when I said that to them. They were like, "No, those are the wrong reasons to be a cop.
right.
So you're not gonna do that." When I said I want to be a fighter, I didn't know that MMA existed or like the UFC existed at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, I don't know any avenues to get into that. And but there was acting, and in Toronto, I think like the acting industry was at the time, anyways, a little bit more. There weren't a lot of pathways to get into it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I had no instruction or very little instruction on how to become an actor,
Mm-hmm.
and the only thing I knew was like go to school for something you want to do. And Michael Ealy said like go to school, like you wouldn't trust a doctor that didn't go to medical school.
Right.
So as an actor, it's good to train and go to school and learn your craft. And that really inspired me. Inspired me and my best friend at the time. And so that's something I only knew to do was just go to school for something that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to college for acting for a couple of years, and then I was like on my own.
So then, if you went to college and, like you said, in Toronto, I guess the entertainment scene is a little different.
Yeah.
And finding mentorship and finding an avenue to transition into going to Hollywood or making it on Broadway or whatever the quintessential way to going into the business. How did you then transition from Toronto into getting onto Power or your first acting role? Paid acting role.
That was like, you got to get the visa.
Okay.
That's what, it was. I feel like a lot of people in our generation now are the first to do something in their respective family trees, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of the things that we're trying to do have never been done before. And it's kind of the same thing for us as actors in Toronto. A lot of us in this generation were the first. A lot of them are kids from immigrants from different places. So a lot of them are the first ones to be in the entertainment space in any way. And so we're just now building those pathways. And all you know is that like in order to work in the States, you got to get a visa.
Mm-hmm.
There are specific visas. One of them is for like entertainment and acting space, and you get that one. So now that I have done that a couple of times, I could tell other people going forward, okay, here's where you got to go. Here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to know. But wasn't nobody telling me that. So it was like I spent like 10 grand the first time to get my visa, didn't get it, had to do it again, and then got it again. This is $20,000. Like, and when like this is this is like 2012 or so, so 2013, 2014, where like there weren't like how many billionaires there are now, right? So money was a little different,
Mm-hmm.
and 20 grand hurt the pocket the same way 20 grand would hurt the pocket now, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like that this is where you need to go and this is what you need to do to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is what you want and this is what's in your heart and this is where God tells you to go, you're gonna go and you're gonna trust it no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my way to getting over here was, we got to go to LA for pilot season. We need the visa in order to work on a job. So you get your visa and you got it for 3 years and you can work, and be out here and explore this environment and audition and read for something. And you don't have limits on yourself.
So did you move to LA initially?
Not move, but me and my girlfriend at the time,
Mm-hmm.
we went to LA just for like a few months and, got a little Airbnb and just had the camera set up and did self-tapes or went into the room and just grinded it out.
Okay. So in other words, what you're saying to me is you just figured it out.
Basically.
There was no
Basically.
there was no helping hand that came over and say, hey, you should do this. So then here's what I'll ask you. Now that you have gone through that, what do you do to pay it forward to other up and coming actors or entertainers from your hometown or from anywhere? Do you have certain initiatives to help up and coming actors or people who are in the arts?
That's something that I really want to get into because when I went to school in where I was in Toronto, we started the drama program.
Ooh.
So I wanted to like go back and maybe do a scholarship or something like that from kids from that space who are marginalized in different ways to have access to the arts. And here's where you can go and here's how you can get, XYZ. So that's something I plan to do in a couple of years. But in terms of like paying it forward and advice, and people can reach out to me. I've helped a lot of younger actors who needed advice on like how to get representation, where to go to study acting, what to do when they get their first job, how do they navigate certain spaces and XYZ. And so I've been fortunate enough to be a mentor to some younger actors, which has been a nice thing for me to witness and be like, okay, like I wanted a big brother, I wanted a mentor, and I got some people doing that for me. A really close friend of mine, Emmanuel Kabongo, has been a wonderful mentor to me. He's another actor out of Toronto who's a wonderful actor. And Ronnie Rowe is another big mentor to me. Andy McQueen, another big mentor. And like in Toronto, we have a production company, 7 of us, all Black, and all from different Black experiences. And we came together and we made a production company together. And we wanted to not only make projects that we can put ourselves into, but also put other people into, because we understand like we can't just wait around for a job. We have to make our own work. And a lot of the time, you're waiting for something to put you in a leadership position. But a lot of the times you're going out for the Black best friend or the person that fills this role or fills this space. And so how can we, or you know what I'm saying? So how do we put ourselves and each other in positions to challenge ourselves as artists and to see new things out of us, out of the city and out of us as Black artists? And so we started this company and we've been doing a couple of jobs. We did a play, which we mounted twice, which was really awesome.
Nice.
And we did
Congrats.
thank you. We're working on a feature and we did a couple of shorts, and it's just been like a nice slow grind, very slow grind, because like again, we're doing it all ourselves. And a lot of the
Trust
time,
me.
you know,
I understand.
yeah, and and we've reached out for mentorship in like the production space, and it's been harder to get that because everyone's trying to figure it out too. But I think like as we build ourselves as artists and we get our names out there more, it'll be easier to get those relationships going and create these projects. And you know, because we know some amazing, talented actors out of the city. And even coming here to New York and meeting so many beautiful, wonderful artists that don't get the opportunities that I think, you know, they should be getting, to see them shine in different ways is like, that's what you got to do, you know?
Okay. I love everything that you just said because at least because to me what I heard there is that hey, I recognize that there was a gap and I'm not just gonna wait for someone to come and help me out with it. I'm gonna put the ball in my own hands and try to pause and try and try.
She paused herself.
I did.
So, could someone get Mason Cameron in here, please?
But just to make sure that I'm able to fulfill my own dreams and not wait for someone else to do it. And because you see that there's a gap, you still are conscious enough to say, okay, well, how else can I bring other people along with me? And I like that. But after all of this and what you're doing right now, tell me if you can. I know it may not be a short story, but how did you end up on Power? Like, how did you even hear about that? Like,
that is a kind of short story.
it is?
Yeah.
Well, before you answer that, because you said something else, like finding representation. Did you have an agent in order to find Power?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So then that answers one thing. So then how did you segue into that after college and coming out to LA and all of that stuff?
College helped me get my first agent.
Oh.
A lot of the instructors that were teaching us were also working actors in the field at the time. And so, you know, when we graduated, they helped you get a resume together, and you know, you do little student films around the college, and you get a demo together, and we did a voice class, you get a voice reel together. And so they helped us have something to actually give out at the end of the year. And I got an agent, and she was wonderful. She is wonderful to this day.
Oh, you're still with the same person?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. She's wonderful. She's Maria is the best. Like I love her so much. She's so good. And now it's become like beyond just like agent and clients. Now I've been like, we're family now, you know? And she's seen me grow so much, and I've, you know, been together for so long. So that was really like instrumental in, you know, helping me start in Toronto. And I did this job called the Next Step After Show. It was like a big show from Toronto called the Next Step. And a lot of like wonderful dancers and stuff came out of the show. It was a huge show, like it toured internationally and stuff. And for one of the seasons, they had an after show that talked about what was going on in the show. And this, like, it was my like first job. I was like terrified, super nervous, super scared, but it was like my first job. And it was like kind of a reality show thing. It was like this weird mix of the two. But that got me started, and eventually I got my manager out here in the States, and then I got my agency. I'm with Buckwald here, and one of my first auditions with them was for Power, and I thought it was
Power Book 2 Ghost or for another? Okay.
Ghost, and I thought it was gonna be because I only heard that they were gonna do like a prequel series that was going to talk about Ghost's beginning and all that kind of stuff, and early Tommy. And so I thought I was reading for that, but everyone had to keep it under wraps.
Okay.
So I thought the names were different. I thought the concepts and everything was different. And so my character was Dru Tejada, and I was like, code name for
they
James
actually
St.
told
Patrick.
you the real thing.
You
thought you was gonna be Little Ghost.
I was like, oh, this is code name, okay. And he had a sister, wanted to play basketball. That was the scene. She wanted to play basketball, and my character wanted to draw.
Okay.
And it was a fun scene. I did it with my wife, and we used to do tapes in my basement. And I love that setup too. It was good lights and everything.
Good lights.
It was good. It was
We had a
really
good time.
It was a good setup, man. It's been hard to get a setup like that ever since. It was a really good setup. And then I went out to LA for the callback, and I found out that was in like August, I think. and then I found out I got it in October.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that is actually a quick story. Not
Yeah.
everybody has like a quick turnaround like that.
Yeah.
So they had you in mind for Dru. Like you just fit the mold. I can't
think
see
so.
anybody else playing you, but playing your character. By the way.
Yeah, I mean, me neither, because I played him for the last 4
played
years.
him.
Yeah, but it was a big blessing because I was a really strange year. My grandfather passed away in July that year.
Oh my God!
And
Wait, what year was that?
2019.
2019. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was really close to my grandfather, so I feel it.
Me too.
Man. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's keep it light.
Okay, yeah, let's keep it light
'Cause
for
I
sure.
felt
No,
a
but I was gonna
moment-
make it light. I was gonna say it was a blessing because my wife's grandfather passed away when her grandmother passed away when she was like 16, and she said she had a dream after she passed that she said to her, "I can do more for you here than I could ever do for you when I was around." And I don't know if she remembers telling me that story, but I've absorbed that. So he passed in July, and I'm like, it was such a blessing because he told me to read my Bible every day. And I was like, he told me that before, and that was the time I listened. And so every day up until that point where he passed, I was like reading it. And he wasn't sick at all. There was no indication that he was going to pass. I was just reading it. And every time I had no reference. I had no way I didn't know what to read. I was just like, let me just open the book every day, and whatever page it lands on is going to be what I read. Like I'll find a verse or something. And every verse I read was relating to when someone passes away, don't worry because this is not the end for them. Don't worry. It was always don't worry about this life because there's more for you in God's kingdom. There's so many things that was alluding to those things. And then he passed in July, and I was like, I was prepared for this. So my grieving process was very short and I could be there for other people in my family in a way that I probably couldn't have been.
If you didn't have the word.
Yeah. And then I booked Ghost in October. I was the brokest I've ever been in my life up until that point. The flight to LA was like to get to do the screen test or whatever was like, hey Kiana, could you like get me this flight and I'll get you back when I get some money? Like my credit card's maxed out. She's like, no, I got you. Don't worry. Boom, boom, boom. And we flew out.
His wife.
Yes, that's my wife. And she took care of me in that way. And
y'all tied in.
It paid off exponentially, So it was such a blessing after his passing that it was a good note. Like it ended in a good way,
Yeah, I'm sorry that he passed, but I'm glad that you're able to find the silver lining in it. I'm glad that you are playing Dru. Now that you brought up your faith and religion, not religion, but your faith, when they explained the character of Dru to you and you had to read through whatever script they gave you, whether it was a dummy script and giving you scenes to act out, did you know initially that the character was going to be gay, and did you have any issues playing the character considering your faith?
No, because when I read the breakdown said it was like simulated same-sex scenes. So I knew and nudity. So I was like, I knew that he was gonna be a queer character, and my biggest fear was that I was not gonna be equipped to play him.
Why?
Because I was like, I want to be able to. I'm not queer in real life, and so if I'm gonna be cast in this role, I want to do it justice. I want to make sure that I'm honoring the people in my life that I care about by doing this work, and I'm representing someone who is important, and I can't half step. You know what I'm saying?
No,
so I'm
I
like,
gotcha.
that was the pressure that I was feeling. I was like, I have to make sure that I'm like committed all the way 100%, or get the hell out of here. And when it comes to my faith, I always say that Jesus left us with one word. He said, love everyone as you love the Father, and as the Father loves you, and as you love yourself. So how I love other people as an artist is reflective in my work. That's what I want to see going forward. And I want to communicate through my work that we should love our people no matter what the background is.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got the part, I was like, yes, God, because that's what you're telling me to do as a Caribbean man, right? Because, you know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I know.
You understand the background.
I understand the background.
So, like, to have this vessel go through and tell this story, I found, I mean, I can only speak for myself, right? Like, I can't say it was all important because I'm not representing the community, but I felt the importance that I felt was on it was that if you look at someone who is Christian like I am, look at someone who is Caribbean like I am, everything that I have, like, on paper, everything that is supposed to be coming from me is supposed to be anti. And I'm showing you that the gifts of the Holy Spirit are that I'm supposed to be loving, and that I can love everyone, and we're supposed to love everyone. And understand that when you're watching me, you're watching Lovell play Dru, that this is a Caribbean person that has persecuted queer people all this time. And this is a Christian person that has persecuted queer people all this time. And that through that lens, you're seeing a person say, love this person, respect this person, honor this person, know this person is not as what they do and what your arbitrary beliefs are, but as a human being, and go into it that way. So that was the responsibility I felt that God was placing on me at the time. And I wanted to just, like, make sure I, you know, did that work in the best way I could.
I think that you do it well.
Thank you.
So, and I hope that your family didn't give you, well, they seem to be pretty supportive.
Yeah.
Were they, did you have to brace them for some of the scenes that they were
Oh, yeah.
seeing?
Okay. Yeah. But I was like, look, I got a really nice butt, so you're going to see my butt on the show.
Listen, y'all, just be prepared. There's some nudity. There are simulated scenes here. Just you just let them be aware that, hey, this stuff is happening. But they were fine, right? They know that it's just acting, and I hope that other people know that it's just acting too. Because I think my fear with the character Dru, or with you playing Dru, this is my fear, but is it your fear that you are ever going to be typecasted because of the role that you played in Power?
No, not at all. I don't think about that. I don't see that, because I don't necessarily believe that it's in my control or anyone else's control to give me my next job, right? God has given me the gift of an artist, and he wants me to express that artistry. And so he's going to bring me my next job.
Yep.
And whatever it is, where he brings me is where I go.
It's where he goes.
You know what I'm saying?
All right. Got you. I hope that answers everybody's question.
I'm not trying to turn this into a whole sermon or anything like that, but it's
I just
that's
hope
what
that
I feel is what I
people get
believe, right?
No, I hope that they get it, because one of the main questions that we get, like, about Dru is he is the actor really gay? And he's not. So that's just a testament to how you are playing the character. Now, one of the other good things that we got about Dru is that we're learning more about him. I was afraid that with Poppy not around, or the actor Berta Cologne, his character not being around anymore, that we won't see as much of Dru anymore, considering that I felt that he was the person that championed Dru. Now that we know a lot of Dru's traumas, so we saw some flashback scenes, right? And Monet has won the award for worst mother ever within the Power universe. We've seen her have both Dru and Diana bagging up product, and they look to be, I would say, under 10 at the time in the flashback scene. And then we also saw that she took Dru with her to do a transaction. And she explains to him prior that this is where the real money is made. Now, see, when you was 10 and bagging up, that was nothing. That was light work. But now that we're over here, this is where the money is made. And she takes Dru inside, and poor Dru is just like, I want to go draw. I want to be at the art fair or wherever it was that his teacher wanted him to be, that he promised that he would be. But Monet has, like, she's a narcissist, and she's an egomaniac, and she takes her son and puts him in a bad predicament. And then what happens is he ends up shooting someone and dealing with that trauma. And I'm glad that we got this background because now we kind of see how she forced him into this life. And here's my question. From your perspective as someone who is playing the character, do you think that Dru could have ended up in any other way with a mother like Monet? Considering all that we saw him go through, was there any other route for him?
You know, it's interesting you bring that up because when we started Ghost, we still see him holding on to his art and his love and his passion for another life. We still see him trying to, even though he's gone through all these other things and like had to bag up product as a young kid and kill this guy. When we start with Dru, he's still drawing. He's still, he's 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of thing. I think the circumstances of what we've seen now has taken Dru down a path that has kind of been a more irreversible because he's lost his father. He's lost, the love that he's had for his mom and the respect he's had for his mom in that way. And he's lost Zeke, right? Who was everything was simple back then. Zeke played ball. That was the escape plan. And, I can go draw, and so now it's like, it seems to be only one way to go. I think it's like the family more so than it is just Monet. I think it's like the life that we have been given. The kids, time and time again, only Kane is the one who says, I'm down 100%. The kids have said, like Diana and Dru have said repeatedly, all right, this one thing, I'm done. I'm not trying to do this. I don't want to be this thing. I want to do this thing. I want to, Diana, I want to go to school. And Dru is like, I want to draw. I want to live my life somewhere else and do something else. And he's tried to hold on to that as much as he could. And now, with all the family circumstances, we're here.
Do you think that so on Chronicles of Power, we actually had Berto Colon on the show, and he talked about the differences between Kane and with Dru. And I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. He said, I asked him, why would Lorenzo choose Dru over Kane? I won't tell you what his answer is because I don't want to color your perspective on what you think is happening between those three characters. Why do you think that Lorenzo chose Dru over Kane to be the number 2?
I think it's because Dru has shown decisiveness under pressure and level-headedness. And I think there's that aspect of, because you don't want the crown, you deserve it. Whereas Kane has shown he really wants the crown. And that over that necessary, like that feeling of like you over want something a little bit. I don't know what that word is, but it's kind of like, maybe you're not going to be the best for this job. The person that feels like they don't want it, they want to do something else, that aspect is part of what's necessary to lead, right? The refusal of the crown is why you should be the leader, because you're not in it for the power-hungry nature of it. You're not in it because you want, to be the guy on top and you need to overcompensate in some way. You are in it because it's out of necessity and no one else can do the job as well as you can. And subconsciously, I think you know that, and that's why you don't want it, because you don't want to see who you can be in that space, Do
you think that Lorenzo was right to choose Dru?
I think so, yeah. I think so. And
even though Diana, it caused the rift between the brothers?
I think, no, because you can only control your actions, right? We're talking about these characters as if they're real people, but
you can only control within the world.
Yeah. I think if Kane is responsible for his own actions. So if he's seeing that there's patience in these things, right? If you're seeing that Dru is being pushed to be number one, and it's Lorenzo's decision, out of respect for the family and out of respect for the leader of the family, you go, all right, I'll do what I need to do until it's my time. But because it's the game of power and everyone's vying for that same spot, it creates that conflict. But I do believe if you can control your actions and control your emotions, then you can just bide your time until you're the one and learn, right? You don't get mad, you learn. You see, like, all right, why is he picking Dru to be number one? What can I take from what he is, positioning Dru to he thinks that Dru is better than me in some way, shape, or capacity. So what can I absorb from that? But instead it's that rivalry. We always see the rivalry. We always see that jealousy and that envy of this person has something that I lack. And instead of understanding what that is and embracing it, seeing what can I learn from that, and maybe adopting what they have as a part of me, it's like I should still have it.
Yeah, but that's not his personality trait, right?
Exactly.
He doesn't have that. And I think that's one of the things that Berto Cologne recognized. And I think that he was able to transition that into, or transpire that Poppy saw that too. Like, he said something like this. He says, after his conversations with Courtney, I saw too much of myself in Kane. And I saw that Dru was the level-headed person. And why would I pick someone who was like me, who wanted the power and wanted to do certain things, but couldn't necessarily bring it to fruition? But I saw someone who was pragmatic and who was able to take a step back and look at the board for fully what it is. And that's what made me say, hey, this is not your calling, but this is your brother's calling. And I wonder, could he have gone about it in a different way, or was this, it would always be destined to happen? So you remember that movie, what was it called? Butterfly Effect? Like, where the same result still, the same thing still happens, even if you go back and try to change certain things, because that one thing happens, it's still going to end up the same way or even worse. Then I wonder, I think something that I thought about last night, I was thinking about Shakespeare or just tragedy in general. And I was like, they label Power as a crime drama. But is this really a tragedy? Is it?
I think it is.
I think so too,
100%,
right? Because of how do we define tragedy? We have two sides or multiple sides who are vying for the same thing. And even though there may be small victories along the way, is there really ever a winner at the end?
I think if we rewrite...
Look at that smile.
It's a good question. But it's like, we need the drama, right? Like, for the entertainment purposes.
Right. And that doesn't mean that drama is not going to be in the tragedy. I'm just saying that if we had to categorize Power, would this be considered a tragedy?
I think it would be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially because for the whole entire universe, right? Ghost is killed by his son. That's a tragedy.
Yeah.
Because everything you're trying to prevent happens. Yeah, you're trying to keep your son away from the game, and you're trying to go legit and not have to do all the things you're doing, and you're doing them anyways. And your son kills you, and now he's in the game. Everything you've been trying to prevent happened. That's a tragedy. That's very tragic. It's like Oedipus, right?
Yes.
Everything that you were trying to avoid turns
happens.
out, plot twist, it's your fault.
It still happened. You still fell in love with your mother.
Yeah. Whole plague and everything. Turns out
everything. Same thing.
But I think, like, in terms of like what Berto was saying about seeing Kane as himself, in an ideal world, in the world that I like to grow up in and see for myself, is that, like, you have a conversation about that, because you never told Kane that.
Isn't that the problem within
that
Power
is the problem.
all along? People do not have the right conversation.
A simple conversation could have gone a long way.
Could have saved everything.
Look,
could have
man,
saved Tariq.
Could have saved Tariq
a long time ago.
You know what I mean? Could have been a whole thing, but it's like you kind of want. There's a lot of ego at play, right? I don't have to explain myself to my son. You do what I tell you. Done. You trust what I'm doing is going to be for the good of the family. That's it.
And that's it. But see, but we realize, and even correlates to real life, right? You can't rule with an iron fist and expect that people are just gonna take to it and just be like, okay, whatever you say goes. Sometimes you have to have a nurturing hand, or
Yeah.
sometimes you have to be a little bit more expressive. Do you think that, like we said, would the trajectory have changed for any of the characters, whether it be Dru Tejada, whether it be Tariq St. Patrick or Kane Tejada, if their parents would have just simply sat them down and spoken to them?
I think so. I think you see a little bit of that in Raising Kanan, right? You see like Rock, she likes to push away, but fine, I'll embrace you and teach you the game, and we'll have a conversation. I think if you have a little bit more of that sit down and understanding in that conversation, you could raise more powerful children because you're transparent with them. It's like the two of the greatest rulers in recent history are Catherine the Great and Queen Elizabeth, right? And because they ruled the longest, or some of the longest in tenure, because they were able to be more fluid and be more adaptable in how they ruled, as opposed to ruling with an iron fist or being known as the most sadistic ruler or the most war hungry ruler or the greatest conqueror. They were very good at understanding people and learning how to communicate with people and not being over communicative. Is that even a word?
No, that
is. Or and not being too withholding, right? They understand the strategy. And so you understand that you can see in your household that your kids are, there's a rift between your children. How do you bring them back? Okay, well, let's communicate. Let's see what's going on. Let's everyone sit down and have a conversation and see what we need and how am I going to get what I need and how are you going to get what you need? And here's why I think you should be a good leader. Here's why I don't think you could go and learn these things, because as we've seen with Kane these last 4 seasons, he has adapted really well, and now he's Noma's number 2. You know what I'm saying? He's
but
actually,
is he though?
I mean, aside from Davis, but he's positioned himself this way. This is all without Monet and was without anyone else's influence. He's positioned himself because he could observe that even in the face of danger, when Noma's about to approach him and stab him the same way she stabbed Obi, instead of being like saying something stupid or whatever, he mocks her, and it's impressive.
Yeah.
And he knew that because he read her. He knew that would be a thing that would go over well with her because he's already studied her. He's very, you know what I'm saying? He's very adaptable and very studious. And
what about Dru though? Because Dru tried the same tactic, where he thought something was going to impress her, but Kane actually got the upper hand. So when Dru thought that telling her about the green cards and how that came to be, what was Dru's miscalculation there?
He miscalculated how ingrained Kane has become with Noma. Because that was a wild card that he hadn't anticipated. He thought that Dru and Kane were on the same level and in the same spot, vying for the same position. So when he took Obi out the picture, he thought that, okay, if I do 2 more moves, I'll probably be number 2. But he didn't understand how, like, Kane's been with her every day and is, doing this for her and doing this for her. And she's talking to him, having actual conversations with him about what moves they need to make and how they need to make them. So he miscalculated that.
Yeah, because they didn't have a conversation.
Yeah, they didn't have a conversation. I'm telling you, a conversation goes a long way. And Courtney said something a long time ago. She's like, when you're writing characters, both characters are right. That's how you have that conflict, right? Yeah. They're both right. And so as an audience member, you go, oh man, I don't know who to rock with right now because they're neither of them are wrong.
Right.
And so when you write, that's a tell of good writing. When the argument, it can be made from both sides. And that creates the biggest conflict. And so for, Dru and Kane versus Noma or Obi or whoever, vying for those positions, it's like every time you have that conflict, that they're both right. They both want this specific thing and they both want it their own way. And it becomes tragic when one person gets it over the other and they have to go find their own again. And, all those, yeah.
Okay, so talk me through Dru's current mind state and what we should be looking forward to. So I'll just give a brief top line. Right now, Dru is trying to get out. Mm-hmm. And he has agreed to do one more lick with his mom. Mm-hmm. How she convinced him to do this is just because she finally takes accountability, to which I don't even think that was enough, right? Considering all the things that I know that happened to Dru and Diana and everything that they've been through, I don't think it was enough that she was like, hey, I'm sorry. I know that I did something wrong. I think I needed more, right? But that's just me. Mm-hmm. And these people are pretend. But how do we set Dru up to get out of the life going forward? What has to happen for this character in order for him to be made whole again in his own image and not just living for Monet and what she wants to do?
I think the family business has to get to a place where it's running again. And
not extinct.
Not extinct.
Okay.
Because Dru and Diana and Kane have proven that they need their family, But I think
especially Diana.
Yeah, and they need their family, but maybe they don't want it with this drug game involved. It's just like, I want to be able to go over to the house and sit at the table and eat some cornbread and fried chicken and not be worried about like
the fact that Dru was hungry after y'all got shot at. Oh my God. But keep going. I'm sorry.
Especially in real life, like that day, like that scene in episode 5 where like she laid out a whole breakfast for them and then none of them ate it.
That was heartbreaking.
Like, that French toast looks so good. I can't even take a piece before I leave.
Nothing.
It's like, I gotta go.
Everything has to. Nope. You just gotta leave.
Man.
It. Yeah.
So ideally, I think that's what they want. They want the dream of the family and it being a unit, and the business just kind of does its own thing, and they don't have to really involve themselves as much anymore. Mm-hmm. Whoever if Kane wants to run the family business, go ahead. If Monet wants to run the family, go ahead, and we can do our own thing, and we come together as a family, and we don't have to have these dramatic conversations anymore. I think that's what we want ultimately, and we could get there.
Do you think? Yeah, I'm about to say, you think so? Well, yeah. That was my next question. Could there be a happily ever after for Dru himself, mm-hmm. and then maybe for the Tejadas, or is that just not feasible at this point?
I think a happily ever after looks like Dru leaving the city altogether. Mm-hmm. I think maybe joining Tommy and Force in Chicago.
But they about to end too. They about to end. Oh gosh.
Or something. Finding, going to Miami or something like that and like joining the art space there. Or something where you can just like clear your head, I liked, and I think it was episode 4, when they said we got to get the fuck out of New York. Go, please.
Please.
I was begging. Get out. Where do we go? I was making jokes. I'm like, oh, they go to Canada.
They didn't go nowhere.
Crossing that border.
They didn't go anywhere. So at this point, wait, does Dru know that Diana is pregnant?
Yeah, I think so. I think once we I think there's a lot of like, conversations outside of the scenes that we see, because you can only fit so many scenes.
Yeah.
Right?
Was there a scene that was done that they may have cut?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay,
no.
okay.
But I just know like that once Diana comes back, I just assume that like once it's like, fine, we're not killing your sister, I need to know where Diana is. So, and there's another conversation before this breakfast scene. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
It wasn't shot, it wasn't done, but like we just like suspend our belief that like, okay, we're all back together now. Okay. So we're all on this. Once we get to that table, we're all back together at the table, mm-hmm. and then Kane comes in. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, we're all on the same page. Diana's pregnant, and so we need to move like accordingly.
Oh, right. I forgot that was the point of the breakfast
Mhm.
of the French toast.
Yeah.
Because, hey, guys, we got to be on one accord now.
Yeah.
She is with child. Okay, right. Sorry about that, guys. But outside of learning about Dru and all of the trauma and all of that stuff, as an actor, now that book 2 is ending, how do you move forward after this? How do you reclaim your acting life after Power ends?
It's back to what I know, which is I'm a creator, so I got to create something.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, I got to create something. Writing, working, like, and just expressing through my body in that way. Getting back on stage, I love stage, and so I'm getting back on stage. That's my intention. Film, and back to auditions and that grind. That I'm not unfamiliar with it. I'm a little bougie, so I'm always like, am I supposed to be doing this still? Like, what's up? But
y'all don't see my work.
my work ain't speaking for itself yet. But no, like it is. It's a part of the game, and I love it, embrace it, and I like to put myself on tape for an opportunity. So the fortunate part is that my wife is also an actor, and so we're like in it together, which is really nice.
So you have a partner,
yeah,
that helps you out through this. We'll start to wrap up now, but I think one of my last questions that I didn't get to ask you earlier was, what's the difference between working on set with Courtney while she's there at the helm and the last 2 seasons of her not being there?
Working with Courtney or working with Brett. Brett Mahoney was the showrunner for the last 2 seasons, and he was wonderful too. They're both very accessible. They were like, call me whenever you need a question or anything
Is that
answered.
something that you need as an actor?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know I needed it going into the show because I'd never had that before. But now having had access to the showrunner and being able to communicate with them and talk about character and talk about story and where we're going, I love that. I love that they made themselves open and available. And they both were so passionate and caring about the characters that they were creating and the story that they were creating. So, like, Courtney would love to just talk to you and nerd out about your character.
Yes.
Your character's
like
doing
how
this.
I'm doing.
Yeah. Like, your character's doing this. I'm so excited for where you're going this season. And that was really nice. And we had, I think going into the 4th season, we had a dinner with Brett, myself, Latoya, and Woody. And it was such a wonderful time. Not only because we went to this dope restaurant that had really good focaccia bread, but it was also because it was just like nice to talk to him on a level. And as a person, like outside of work, just talking to him and getting to know him a little bit. And he's such a sweet soul, and yeah, so they both brought different energies to the show. And I really respected both of their visions. And yeah, I'm excited to see where we go from here.
Me too. I'm excited. Do you think that there's going to be another spinoff?
I don't know. Because I remember they were going to plan 5, right? They were going to do...
the Tate show, but I think that's clipped.
Yeah. So
yeah, where is Tate? We haven't seen him all season.
I don't know.
Is he coming?
I don't know.
He hasn't given me anything, guys. Nothing.
Just going to have to wait and see.
Okay, alrighty. So let's do something fun. So one of the things that we actually didn't get to talk about in this interview, because I feel like me and Lovell, we can talk for hours, but we didn't get to talk about rap. No. But we did get to, I know, and I love your perspective on rap. He has a really unique, not unique, but an intricate view on rap today. But let's play something a little fun before you get out of here. So I know you told me you like fighting, specifically MMA. So we're gonna do this or that.
Okay.
Right? Where you can pick who would win in a fight.
All right, dope.
So we already saw that Kane beat Zion, right? And I think that it's plot armor. And I say, you cannot trick me, right? You can't trick me. But let's think about some other people.
Okay.
All right. In a fight between Effie and Diana, who would win?
Pregnant Diana or non-pregnant Diana?
She can be pregnant. Right now, she don't look pregnant.
Right.
So, what is it?
It's gonna be Effie every time. And a pregnant Diana, like, cause
okay, if she's not pregnant,
she's not pregnant. I'm sorry, Diana. I think Effie can fight. I think Effie can fight because Diana has shown time and time again she doesn't want to be a part of this life. She knows it. She has it in her, but she doesn't want to involve herself in it.
Yeah.
And Effie has been like, I can do this. I can do other things, but I'm also very equipped to do this.
Okay. Okay, fair. I'm not going to fight you on that because I agree. Okay, next up. Who would win between Brayden and Dru?
In a fight?
In a fight.
Oh, Dru wins that.
Hands down?
Hands down.
No questions.
Dru has fought already. I beat Guap. I beat everybody.
Beat everybody.
I got beat up. I got beat, and I could take a punch. You know what I'm saying?
Dru gets beat up a lot.
Yeah.
Like Kane whipped the dog snot out of Dru. But I think it was that brother thing where you let your big brother win, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like it would have been a fairer fight if he wasn't so defeated that day.
Yeah.
But let's keep going. What about between Blanca, who used to be the cop here between Power and Book 2 Ghosts, and Blanca and Jenny?
Blanca wins that.
Hands down. Next one. Let me give you a good one.
Jenny strikes me as a type that would be like surprised that she's like getting into a fight in the first place.
Alrighty. What about between Kane and Dru? Not just the fight scene that we saw with them in the store, but if they had to really go knuckle to knuckle, who would win between Kane and Dru?
I think Kane wins that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I remember we did that fight scene where it was in season 2, I think, season 3, where Dru rushes Kane into the cabinet, and then we ended up like rolling to the ground, whatever, and then Poppy breaks it up.
Yeah. Why am I drawing a blank on this?
I don't remember if that was season 2 or season 3, but it ended with Dru with Kane about to like get him like this, and he was like laughing the whole time, and Dru was like so in real life, like Woody's really strong, right? So in real life, I was like actually like trying to restrain against him. I'm like, my arms are getting washed right now against this guy. Like he is actually like, I'm actually trying to put in like pressure to like get him off, and I can't. So in a real life fight between Woody and Lovell, I think Woody would still win. But in a fight in the show, like Kane actually did kind of win that fight. While Dru caught him off guard and everything, he still won. So yeah, Kane wins that.
Okay. Alrighty. So guys, this has been Lovell Adams-Gray. Thank you so much for talking about your character with us. We enjoyed your talk. I hope that we get to learn so much more from you. You didn't give us any spoilers.
None.
But
Nope.
None at all. But I look forward to seeing you in the second half of the show. I love what they're doing with your character, and I'm glad that we're able to see you develop in such a way. I hope that there's a spinoff and we get to see more of the Tejada family. But any parting words before you leave?
Thank you for having me. It's been a wonderful time. And
no, you're welcome. I was thinking you were going to say something to the fans.
Oh, shout out to the fans. Thank you for the show. Thank you for loving our show for these last 4 seasons and rocking with us. And thank you for supporting Dru and loving Dru and allowing me as Lovell to be a part of the universe. And I've had a really good time.
And stop being silly in his comments, people.
Oh, yeah. Get out of my comments with all that.
Please. Please.
You will get blocked.
You will, for sure. Or cursed out. All righty. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.